What's the most amazing thing about the universe? It must be true that either one, it didn't exist, then it did, or two, it has always existed. What even is time? The space in which space can change. The space of space. Matter, when subjected to enough energy and time, becomes sentient and ponders its own existence. Like a really fucked up diamond. That it created self-aware entities that think about it. Given enough time, hydrogen gives itself a name. Given enough time, hydrogen atoms will start to masturbate. Given enough time, hydrogen atoms will draw big anime titties. That it doesn't exist to be observed. In fact, under different circumstances, all of its trillions of stars and planets and oceans and moons and mountains could exist for billions of years without ever being observed by anyone. Edit. Typo. They might very well have existed for 14 billion years before consciousness was a thing here. How young it is. People look at the universe being 13.7 billion years old and say, that is ancient. That is nothing. Stars will continue to form for another 100 trillion years. Even after that, stellar remnants will exist for quadrillions of years. Black holes will still produce energy that can be used by intelligent civilizations for 10 to the power of 100 years. Keep in mind, if biological life doesn't destroy itself, we will just keep getting more and more knowledge. It's probably a safe bet that within 500 years, which is nothing on universal time scales, we will be an interstellar species that has long ago transcended biology. There is no telling what our descendants will do for the remaining life of the universe. The 4 to 5 billion years of biological evolution of life on Earth will be looked at as an embryonic stage for endless quintillions of years of real life to begin post-biology. They will view the universe as their oyster, a place of infinite possibilities, while we are still just spending our days trying not to die and trying to avoid being punished by our brains with pain. Greater than black holes will still produce energy that can be used by intelligent civilizations for 10 to the power of 100 years. The thing that freaks me out is that no matter how far off a point you imagine in the future, that moment will eventually be now. The passage of time is inexorable. No matter how far off a point in time you imagine, time will keep moving forward without fail and reach the moment you imagined. As a child, I used to imagine what it would be like to be an adult. Back then, it felt like 10 years or 20 years in the future was so far away. But that 10 years, 20 years passed. I am now an adult and have reached the point in time that I used to imagine was so far off. So, too, will the year 10 to the power of 100 eventually come. So, too, will the year 10 to the power of 10 million eventually come. No matter how big a number I come up with, time will keep ticking and eventually reach that number. At that point, the universe will have been an empty and cold void for most of its history. Asterisk. Cold emptiness will be the universe's natural state. The time when the universe had planets, stars, black holes, galaxies, and life was only a momentary glitch, barely even registering in the overwhelming majority of void and emptiness. Like the snap of a finger compared to an eternity. Asterisk. This is assuming a heat death scenario. Its size compared to its speed limit. Edit. The visible universe is 98 billion light-years across and only 13.8 billion years old. Nothing travels faster than the speed of light. It would take you longer than the universe has existed to reach most points in the visible universe. Even if you could travel at near light speed, that's it. The universe was static. It's not. The universe isn't only expanding, the rate of expansion is accelerating. The size of the greater universe is estimated to be 250 times larger than the visible universe and 7 trillion light-years across. The overwhelming majority of the universe can never be seen because it's growing faster than light can travel across it. Eventually, all of the visible universe will be so far away that its light will never reach us, and The visible universe will be limited to our local cluster of galaxies. Edit 2. To all the grammar Nazis I triggered. Eat a bag of dicks. Edit 3. A lot of comments on how the expansion of the universe can be greater than the speed of light. The galaxies aren't speeding away from each other. The space between them is growing. Picture a balloon. Draw some dots on it. Now blow it up. The dots are farther apart but the dots haven't moved. The space between them has expanded. Nothing has moved faster than the speed of light. Space has stretched. There is no center to the universe. Space is expanding outward from every point in the universe. Edit 4. How can the observable universe be bigger than twice its age? Expansion. We can look into the past and see the light from galaxies that have now expanded so far away that the light they are currently emitting will never reach us. Edit 5. How do we estimate the size of the greater universe? Age and rate of expansion. Edit 6. How do we know light is the speed limit? Math. The faster you go, the heavier you get. Accelerating a single electron faster than the speed of light would require an infinite amount of energy. Some people have mentioned spooky action at a distance or quantum entanglement as information traveling faster than light. There are theories that address the problem, but that's way above my pay grade. Edit 7. What is the universe expanding into? Nothing. The universe, all that we know, is just getting bigger. Alternatively, we live in the multiverse, a cosmic soup with infinite big bangs occurring, creating infinite varying universes. Like dough rising in each air bubble is an expanding universe. Can you please elaborate? Maybe Eli 5, if you could. Two possibilities exist. Either we are alone in the universe or we are not. Both are equally terrifying. Arthur C. Clarke. That we just don't understand it? It could be flat. It could be irregular. There could be another one. It's growing at an exponential speed. It's invisible contents. We try to learn more about it using our earthly knowledge, but there is certainly more to it. It's like trying to wrap your head around eternity. Look again at that dot. That's here. That's home. That's this. On it, everyone you love. Everyone you know. Everyone you ever heard of. Every human being who ever was. Lived out their lives. The aggregate of our joy and suffering. Thousands of confident religions, ideologies, and economic doctrines. Every hunter and forager. Every hero and coward. Every creator and destroyer of civilization. Every king and peasant. Every young couple in love. Every mother and father. Hopeful child. Inventor and explorer. Every teacher of morals. Every corrupt politician. Every superstar. Every supreme leader. Every saint and sinner in the history of our species lived there, on a mote of dust suspended in a sunbeam. Monsieur Carl Sagan. That somehow all the particles accumulated in a specific way and in specific quantities to give you conscious thought. There are 10 million particles in the universe that we can observe. Your mama took the ugly ones and put them into one nerd. Asterisk. Flashback to 2012. If you nut in space, you move backwards. Do you have videographic evidence of this? Spacehub.com. Hydrogen plus time equals people and planets. Hydrogen, given enough time, will send unsolicited dick pics. There is a theory which states that if ever anyone discovers exactly what the universe is for and why it is here, it will instantly disappear and be replaced by something even more bizarre and inexplicable. There is another theory which states that this has already happened. Douglas Adams. Imagine being transported to a parallel universe that was almost identical to our own. Somewhere out in the vastness of that universe, there is a tiny planet. This much is true in both universes. On this planet, there is a beach, and on that beach, there is a small stone. Once again, both universes are alike in this regard. Beneath that stone, however, there are several million grains of sand, and while they all are in precisely the same location in each universe, One of them, a tiny speck of particularly clear quartz, hewn from a larger hole millions of years before, has a single atom that is positioned a fraction of a femtometer differently than its twin in the mirror dimension. You may think that such an insignificant difference would label these two universes as being functionally identical, and you would be right. In fact, they are so similar that the multiverse has long since combined them into one reality. That single atom in that tiny speck of sand on that lonesome beach on a distant planet merely occupies two spaces at once, seeming to an outside observer to vibrate back and forth at a predictable rate. That every atom in existence seems to do the same is probably a coincidence. **TL. Doctor. Everything is buzzing. ***. The multiverse interpretation of quantum mechanics is an intriguing idea. There's a related thought experiment called quantum suicide. Basically, you try killing yourself with a gun that only fires when a spin-half particle, with two possible states, is measured to have spin in a certain direction when the trigger is pulled. In quantum mechanics, before the spin is measured, it exists as a superposition of both spin up and spin down. Simultaneously, if the particle is measured to have spin down, it doesn't fire. If it is spin up, it fires. But the idea is that to you, and you alone, as the observer, it will always seem as if the gun doesn't fire. According to the multiverse interpretation, the particle actually collapses into both states upon measurement, but in two different universes. And usually we only see one because we as observers are randomly shunted into one of the possible universes along with the collapse of the particle's state. However, in this case, in one of the universes you would be dead due to the trigger setting off. So you should only experience the second possibility, i.e. staying alive, because that is the only one in which you are still conscious. No matter how many times you pull the trigger, the idea goes, the gun never fires and you should always survive. From your own perspective, an outside observer, watching you carry out the quantum suicide, would not always see you survive though, since he would remain alive and conscious in both possible timelines, and to him you have a 50-50 chance of dying, as expected. Thank you for watching.